Hello, for today I'll be discussing among the first uh, hypothesis testing and mean comparison tests in inferential statistics. So technically, this is the most common tool or formula that we use in terms of inferential statistics. So we have the t-test. So before that one, inferential statistics, the most common tools that we always use are t-test, ANOVA, chi-square, correlation, regression. So technically, this is also the most basic because it deals with smaller numbers. Let's assume. So t-test. So t-test is basically a test of significance. So we're attempting to test whether that is true or not, if there's a significant difference or not. So may I just rephrase it? So t-test, or may just read the phrase. So t-test is a test whether the means of two groups are statistically different from one another. So actually, t-test is a comparison methodology as well. So with two groups, we want to compare if they are statistically different from one another. T-test is also used in ex post facto, in causal comparative research design. So if you take note of t-test, we must remember that we are using two groups. And paano papasok tong two groups? We have to look into your independent variable and your dependent variable. Okay. Um, Basic review. Your independent variable is your presumed cause, while your dependent variable is your presumed effect. Now, this is where your classification of variables will be used. So always familiarize. Technically, you must already master the types or the classification of your variables. Yung nominal, ordinal, interval, then ratio. Nominal and ordinal are considered to be categorical, while your interval ratio is considered to be continuous. Now, okay, you want to make assumptions about causality. Now, if your independent variable is categorical, nominal, or ordinal, then your dependent variable is continuous, interval ratio, sometimes we always use ordinal, or in questionnaires, laging ordinal yan, dito tayo gagamit ng t-test. Now, what should be taken note of, no? Your independent variable should be grouped into two. Two grouping siya. So, you're actually comparing your independent variable. Ito yung kino-compare natin. Later you'll know, and I'll give some examples, no? Okay, actually, I'm giving some examples already. So, kunyari ganito, no? Okay, so we have your independent variable, how it was grouped, kailangan to group yan. Then your dependent variable, okay? So, for instance, you think you want to do a study, although these are just simple examples, no? So, you want to do a study that gender has something to do with political awareness. So, going back with your hypothesis testing, you assume, for instance, that there's inequality or difference between males or females. Or from another hypothesis, you now assume that males have higher political awareness than females, or the other way around. You could craft your own hypothesis. So, ito independent variable natin, level of political awareness. Probably you could now measure it through Likert scale, through a quiz, etc. No? So, paano siya naging t-test? Kasi dalawang groupings yung kinumpare natin. Male and female. Now, for instance, our society is pluralistic in nature. And we now recognize that hindi lang male at female yung gender natin. We also accept the third sex, the LGBT community. So, lumalagpas siya sa dalawa. Pag lumagpas siya sa dalawa, hindi na t-test yung gagamitin natin. It is widely suggested that we'll use ANOVA, analysis of variance. So, ibang measurement na naman yan. And remember, pag two groups yan, exclusive t-test. Okay, the other example, next example rather. Kunyari, political parties. In United States, they practice dual political party system. So, we have Democrats and Republicans. So, technically, t-test din siya. I forgot no ano yung objective ng research na to, for instance. So, you want to study about the frequency of overpowering veto. So technically you have that assumption, or you just simply want to know if there's a difference between your Democrats and your Republicans. Kung ano yung mas malakas. na mag-overpower ng veto. So technically, when we craft our own hypothesis, it's not necessary you have an assumption of this one. Technically, laging technically, madalas kasi, we just want to know if there's a difference. Or if you want to know if mas mataas siya or mas mababa, okay din yan, no? Third one is marijuana users. So this study attempts to know if there's a difference between users and non-users on the agreement on increasing syntax. So yan, no? So grouping niya is dalawa, no? Other example of groupings, wala kasing blackboard, technically would now be, kunyari, SLU versus non-SLU, yan, two groupings yan. So t-test. Pero you want to compare SLU, UBUC, hindi na applicable yung t-test. So technically, this is it, no? So from your t-test, the next video would now be when to use one-tail and or two-tail t-test.